Good afternoon. Good to speak with you today. I was told that Africa is ready, and that is the message that we're communicating through the TCIS. So in import and export with Oximio, tell me more about import and export in Africa and your experience and how Oximio is able to move cold chain throughout Africa and the capabilities that you have.
Yeah, Mthombeni has got a global presence. As we know, we've got a few own depots and then partner depots across the world. And I think Africa is very unique for us in the sense that, got two depots in Africa. One is South Africa and one is in Kenya.
Yeah.
And I think the Kenya depot is something it's quite a unique product that we have, or offering that we have, is that it's a bonded warehouse.
Okay.
Specifically for clinical trials. And it's a unique offering in Kenya. Not only for the East Africa region, but we have reached across the world. But I think for the African region, and the more we see, like here now, we see so many CROs that are now coming up in Africa. And I think Oximio has actually seen that time has come for us as the private sector to also invest in infrastructure within Africa. And Oximio has opened this depot, and I think it adds a layer of sort of supply chain by reducing the risk.
Okay.
So we've got a depot which is close to a lot of the African countries, and we can support clinical trials better than from Europe or from the UK. And I think there are a lot of cost advantages as well.
Yeah, and your depots are based here in Africa, meaning that you will, for example, for multi-country studies, you'll transport IP, for example, from a central depot, maybe in Switzerland, and then it can be moved to your centralized depot in Africa that then serves the whole of Africa.
The whole of Africa. And yeah, that's the offering that we have. And besides that, I mean, we can help you with sourcing, transportation, a lot of things. And I think that there is a lot of capacity building within Africa, even from the transportation side. And I think the more that we have people on the ground, and I think that's key, is the people on the ground, like the CRAs, companies, and sort of logistic suppliers that are on the ground. It's going to be capacity building going into the future, and then we're also transferring knowledge to the local people as well. Right? It's all about design of the studies, the protocols. Start designing the supply chain much earlier in the design of the protocol, because what's happening is, and I'll probably speak about this a little bit tomorrow as well, is we're talking about issues that we have in the supply chain in Africa, but I think a lot of them stem from the design, because the solutions are there.
Okay.
But we need to look at the solutions before we implement,
I am so glad that you mentioned that, because I mean, even with the latest ICH GCP, the Revision 3, they talk about quality by design.
Exactly.
So they're saying that they need to build also supply chain design at the start of the protocol design.
So that's where we look at the risks.
Wow.
And if we take those risks out at that point, I mean, you've been in, it's always about, but now the shipment is stuck.
Yes.
The shipment stuck because we didn't do our homework. We didn't do our planning before. Certain countries in Africa, to get an import permit, and you probably work there, it takes you 2 weeks to get an import permit for a single shipment.
Yes.
And you need to have the invoice before you get the permit. These are things we need to understand, and they need to be put into the trial design and the supply chain plan. So that's my message to everyone. I think.
So it's just about planning, getting Africa included. It's about planning properly and getting Africa included even at the beginning.
At the beginning of the planning.